4 times, I heard tonight, the 18th time already that Oxfam Novib is handing out this prize together with PAN International. And I was happy to be part, actually it was the first time I was invited to participate in a board of directors meeting at Oxfam Novib, to be part of the selection process of the final prize winners that we're honoring tonight. And we chose them very consciously, I must say. The 3 prize winners are from 3 continents and are equally special, I would say. The first one, who could not be here today, is actually the first European winner ever of one of these awards. And in a way, it's a sad sign of the times, isn't it? It is a testament to what is happening in Europe at the moment, developments that are very worrying, developments that we see in countries such as Hungary, Poland, but also in Italy, where the room for critical voices, for critical journalists, writers, is shrinking all the time. But I do think it is important for us to realize also that oppressed writers, oppressed critics, killed writers and journalists is not something from far away, from strange dictatorial countries. It is here. So it's a big warning to all of us, I would say. The second prize winner is from Latin America, from Nicaragua, the country of Nicaragua. And it is a country that we would really like to put the spotlights on here in the Netherlands and in Europe. I'm not sure how many of you are actually aware of the developments in that country. Since April last year, 325 people have been killed in Nicaragua. More than 1,200 activists, social leaders and journalists have been kidnapped and imprisoned, and 60,000 people have fled to neighboring countries. Human rights organizations, including some that Oxfam in Nicaragua is supporting, are being closed so that these violations can actually no longer, or much more difficult, be recorded. It is fair to say that Nicaragua is facing one of the most serious political crises in its history. And where is the global outcry? What do we know of this situation? What do we know of the situation in other Latin American countries where the room for these critical voices is shrinking tremendously? I feel a very strong responsibility here, representing Novib, an organization that has a tradition of supporting opposition voices in Latin American countries. In a time in the 1970s, 1980s, I didn't live through those times very consciously, but was very actively and publicly supporting those opposition figures. And I think the Netherlands was one of those countries where this really resonated. And my hope would be that we would do the same again, and we're starting tonight. The third prize is special for 2 reasons, I would say. So it's special because of the winner and the situation where she is doing her work, but I have to add, being here as the new director for Oxfam Novib, that this prize is special for another reason, because when Farah Karimi, my predecessor, was leaving the organization after more than 11 years, they asked her, what would you like to have as a present? A nice piece of art, or some books, or whatever. But she said, no, I would like to have an extra prize tonight. I would like to honor especially courageous women in the Middle East, in this region where it's so difficult to stand up against regimes anyway, but especially for women. And in your honor, Farah Karimi, we hand out this prize tonight, and I would like to have a round of applause for that. To select someone special for this prize. So we found someone, a great poet that tries to defend the free world in one I think it's fair to say, of the most complicated and polarized regions of the world, living as a Palestinian in Israel. Especially in the last few years, the Israeli government has systematically increased the pressure on critical people, human rights organizations, and curtailed the freedom of speech. Even Dutch organizations were targeted only this year. In the summer, our colleagues from SOMO were refused entry into Israel because of a report that they published, the Money Trail. And other Dutch organizations, including Oxfam Novib, were falsely accused of subsidizing the so-called BDS, the boycott movement there. It's extremely worrying to see that. We've seen legislation being introduced where NGOs are now called foreign agents. We see it in many countries. But also legislation is proposed for a law which would actually limit the freedom of speech of cultural organizations and artists. And there was a big demonstration, I heard, in Tel Aviv against this law with many speakers. And I like to take one line that was said there by one of the speakers, which I think is the essence of what's so wrong about this law. One speaker said, the desire to tame the art in a law is so foolish, but more than that, it's also evil, and even more than that, it is doomed to fail. Because to want loyalty in culture is to change the DNA of art, of creativity, and of life itself. And that is very powerful. So even if this law would be introduced, forget it. Culture will be culture, and we'll always look for freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of announcing 3 winners for tonight. I think you heard their names already, but anyway, let me build up some sort of tension. And I will start with the person that unfortunately cannot be here. Roberto Savioni from Italy. As I said, our first European prize winner. You might know him for his bestseller, Gomorra, about the Italian mafia, which was published in 2006. And since that time already, he has been receiving police protection. But when the Italian government came to power, the current Italian government, and started this extremely harsh right-wing anti-migration policies, he became a critic of that government as well, and called the minister of the underworld. And then the minister not only sued him for that, but he threatened to take away his protection. This is Western Europe, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, when we selected him for this prize, we had many difficulties in reaching him, which is a demonstration of how tight this protection is. But fortunately, he was informed in time that he received the prize, and I understand that some words by him will be read to you later. Then, second prize, as I said, situation in Nicaragua. We're extremely happy to have Gioconda Belli here tonight, a world-renowned poet. I'm not sure what the exact choreography is, but I will keep talking. A world-renowned poet and writer, and actually also president of PEN Nicaragua, so very much part of the PEN family. She and several other members of the center were accused of terrorist conspiracy in May in an attempt to discredit and intimidate them. But I'm extremely happy that you are here tonight. I heard you were already on Dutch radio tonight, so you're spreading the news about the situation in your country. So great to have you here. And then the third special prize winner today here is Dارين طاطور, please. prison just a few years ago. She gave me a present tonight, which is bizarre because we are here to honor her, but she gave me a book of Jerusalem, which is her city. So I shared with her how beautiful this city indeed is, but she told me it is, but I can't go there. She still can't travel there to East Jerusalem, not to Palestine, not to her own country, but I'm happy that you're here tonight. We know about the poem. That was the whole reason for the Israeli government to try to prosecute you. But I repeat your words here, and I think these are my final words as well. Poetry is not a crime. Thank you so much. Hoog applaus hebben we erbij.
So we will be hearing from the winners in a few moments, but first I would like to share with you Roberto Saviano's message that he sent to us. He writes, I am very grateful to Oxfam Novib and PEN for awarding me this Freedom of Expression Prize. I'm grateful because nowadays we tend to take freedom of expression for granted. Yet it is a precious asset to be defended every day. In the Europe of Daphne Caruana Galizia, in the Europe of Jan Kuciak, we know that writing is not an easy job. We know that we can be threatened and die for an article or a report. Today we know that freedom of expression does not mean that everyone has the possibility of expressing their thoughts on social media. It means not being vulnerable anymore when talking about the mechanisms of power, when disclosing, for instance, links between politics and criminal organizations. We can only defend freedom of expression by drawing attention to it, which is what you are doing here today. Roberto Saviano. And up next we have some music by singer, poet and composer Raj Mohan. Give him a warm welcome. There he is. And now it is time for Darin's word of thanks. Darin, تفضلي. مساء الخير لضيوفنا. حاولوا قتلي نفسيا وخرس هذا الصوت، إلا أن الشاعر انطلق وتحرر وتحدى الظلم وأبى أن يكون سجينا مع جسد الشاعرة. تخطى الحدود حتى وصل إليكم وجعلني أقف هنا بينكم وأستلم هذه الجائزة. القوة الحقيقية تكمن بكم وبإصراركم ووقفتكم وتحديكم معي للظلم. أنا الآن معكم أشعر بمعنى الحرية الحقيقية، أشعر أنني انتصرت على الاحتلال. هذا الشرف وهذه الجائزة التي كرمتموني بها ليست لي، إنها لكل إنسان ناضل معي في قضية الشعر المتهم والخطير وقصة الشاعرة الفلسطينية المعتقلة بالسجون الإسرائيلية. أقف هنا أمامكم عاجزة عن إيجاد الكلمات تليق بوقفتكم معي كشاعرة. اعتقلت، سجنت، حكمت ل3 سنوات متتالية وما زلت مطاردة من قبل السلطات الإسرائيلية، فقط لمجرد أنني كتبت قصيدة تحكي عن وجعنا نحن الفلسطينيون من الاحتلال. وقوفي هنا معكم واستلامي لهذه الجائزة هو الرد على سياسة تكميم الأفواه، فشكرا لكم. الشكر للشعب الفلسطيني الذي يعاني من الاحتلال والحواجز وجدار الفصل العنصري والقتل وحصار غزة وهدم البيوت ومصادرة الأراضي وحق التعبير عن الرأي. الشكر لروح الشهيد الطفل علي دوابشي وعائلته، ولروح الشهيد الطفل محمد أبو خضير، ولروح الشهيدة هديل الهشلمون، لأنهم من ألهموني كتابة قصيدة قاوم التي أوصلت صوت شعري لكم وجعلتني أقف معكم هنا وأستلم الجائزة. الشكر لأمي وأبي، الشكر لأصدقائي.
Darin flew from Tel Aviv, and we were wondering what that experience was like. Darin جيت من تل أبيب، كيف كانت التجربة بالمطار؟
مجرد انه وصلت على المطار حسيت حالي اني موجوده في السجن مباشره، مره اخرى في السجن، مرات التحقيق مجدد، تفتيش جدا قاسي، كاني بالسجن مره اخرى. حتى كل اغراضي طبعا مرقت تفتيش بشكل خاص، واسئله جدا دقيقه لكل شيء بسويه، وين رايحه، مع مين اجيتي، كيف جيتي، ولوين رايحه، لدرجه انه وصلت لمرحله التفتيش العاري في قلب المطار. فعمليا انا كنت وصلت للمطار وصلت كاني في السجن تماما. ايش الاشياء اللي مرقتها في السجن مرقتها في المطار.
Entering the airport was like entering prison. It felt the same as when I actually entered prison. They investigated me, they searched me, they searched everything, they questioned me in detail. They
even went so far as to strip search me in the middle of the airport, so it really felt like a prison. But they actually imprisoned you, so what was it like that, you know, being in a room a couple of meters and not being able to leave? كيف كانت تجربة داخل السجن الاعتقال؟
السجن طبعا بحد ذاته جدا صعب كان، مرقت باشياء كثير قاسيه، منعوا علي كل شيء حتى تبديل ملابسي، ادخال ملابس لإلي منعوها علي لدرجه انه قعدت 21 يوم في التحقيق وفي الزنازين. كل اللي كنت اعمله انه كنت اطلب اغير ملابسي، رفضوا يدخلوا لي ملابس. كل اللي عملته انه كنت اغسل حتى ملابسي والبسها وهي رطبه. كان في فتره التحقيقات كان تعذيب نفسي اكثر، يحطوا لي في غرفه فيها يسلطوا فيها المكيفات البارده لدرجه انه كنت احس انه انا موجوده في ثلاجه موتى.
Prison was very hard. I spent like 21 days without the possibility to change my clothes, 21 days of interrogation. They didn't allow me to, you know, change clothes, so I had to wash them and put them on wet. And that was very hard. They tortured me psychologically, mentally, and they put me in sort of a freezer cell, the same sort of freezer cell that they put corpses in. But were you able to write poetry in prison? كان بإمكانك تكتبي الشعر بالسجن؟
للأسف لا. بالبداية طبعا طلبت أول ما وصلت السجن، الشيء الوحيد إنه وصلت لمرحلة إنه بدي أكتب بأي طريقة، طلبت ورقة وقلم، فقالوا لي كان جوابهم إنه أنت بالذات ممنوع عليك القلم والورقة. فوصلت لمرحلة إنه مش قادرة أتحمل أكثر السجن، بدي أكتب، أكثر شيء بدي أعمل بدي أكتب. فكان بلشت ادور على وسيله انه اكتب فيها باي طريقه، ما لقيتش غير سحاب الجاكيت تبعت مصلحه السجون، فقمت السحاب وبلشت اكتب الشعر على الجدران الزنزاني.
The first thing that I asked him was, you know, pen and pencil to write poetry, and they told me that I, of all people, was not allowed to have a pen, and I felt this huge urge to write poetry, and I couldn't, so I started to think of a way to write poetry. So what I did is I used the zipper of the clothes that I had on, and I wrote the poetry on the walls of the prison cell. So now we will hear two of your poems. رح نسمع قصتين. شكرا. Okay, so she will share.
من في الحبس؟ أنا صبر، أنا يأس، ومع صبري ومع يأسي يصير الشوك مفتاحا لباب السجن. أنا لحن، أنا دمع، أنا حبر، أنا حرفي، أنا لغتي، ومن حبري ومن دمعي يفيق الصبح. أنا شعر على الجدران محفور بضوء الشمس. أنا حب وأشواقي مكبلة، يحاصرني وداع الأمس، ولكني برغم القيد أرى الميلاد والملقى، وذي حرية الأبقى ترى في الحس. أنا عدم، أنا كل، أنا الأشياء واللا شيء. هنا في السجن في زنزانتي عتم، ولكني أرى الأضواء في قلبي، وذي حريتي نور. فمن في الحبس؟ أنا صوت له ظل، أنا السجان والمسجون والسجن. أنا القهار والمقهور والقهر. أنا الظلام والمظلوم والظلم. أنا الإنسان. أنا موج بوسط البحر قد أغرق. أنا نار بنار مثلها أخرق. أنا وطن ولي وجهان، وجه ضاحك باك، ووجه من بكى يضحك. وفي نبضي عصافير تغني اللحن والأشعار لا تصمت. فمن في الحبس؟ حريتي. غلقوا علي الباب في زنزانة، شدوا الإسارة وأحكموا إقفالها. منعوا دخول النور، زادت ظلمة، فرسمت مصباحا على جدرانها. مسحوا الجدار، يراعتي قد صادروا، فتوهجت شمس العيون بليلها. عصبوا العيون كذا لساني كمموا، فأنار شعري في الفؤاد ظلامها. أشعلت في روحي فتيل مشاعري، فأضاء فانوس القصائد عتمها. إن قيدت تلك السلاسل معصمي لن يسجنوا حس الحياة بحسها. حريتي 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 لن يقتلوا في الشعور بحسها.
Thank you, Dارين. شكرا دارين. And I think we can all say, Inshallah, Ameen, Amen to your freedom. And another amen to another woman's freedom, Jaconda Bebi. Jaconda, please.
Thank you so much. Really a lot. Emotional. I come to you from the nightmarish experience of seeing my country mauled once again by the jaws of tyranny. In the last month, freedom of expression has suffered very severe blows in Nicaragua. Two of our most important independent media standard bearers have been viciously attacked. Carlos Fernando Chamorro was once the director of the Sandinista newspaper Barricada. He parted ways with Daniel Ortega and the FSLN in the 90s and began publishing an independent newsletter, Confidencial, and producing 2 TV shows, This Week and Tonight. At dawn on December 19th, police forces broke into his office building, vandalized its contents, and carried away his most essential equipment. That same night, with no court order, they took possession of the building and everything in it. They have remained inside the premises since then. On December 21st, a TV station, 100% News, was also overrun by riot police, boarded up, taken off the air, and both its director and owner and its news editor were taken prisoner, charged with absurd accusations, such as inciting hate. They are now in solitary confinement, and no member of their families have been allowed to see them. More than 50 journalists have been forced to go into exile because of persecution and threats. I cannot accept this prize for myself. It belongs to the independent media in my country, to the men and women who have shown incredible courage, risking their safety and freedom to keep the Nicaraguan people informed. I thank the opportunity I have to appeal to you. Do not forget what's going on in Nicaragua. The Ortega government, at the first sign of popular defiance, dropped all pretense of fairness and ethics and turned its guns against an unarmed population that took to the streets, first to protest a reform to a social security law, but then to reject the repressions and killings with which the government responded. More than 325 people, mostly students, had been killed since April. More than 600 people have been jailed and accused of trumped-up terrorism charges, and more than 30,000 Nicaraguans have fled to neighboring countries, mostly Costa Rica. We need your sympathy, your voices, and your empathy. Our brave journalists are beginning to set shop in neighboring countries or in clandestine locations. We are rooting for them, and I hope you do too. I thank Oxfam Novib and PEN for this prize that honors the work PEN Nicaragua has been doing on behalf of freedom of expression, and that honors me as a writer who keeps believing against all odds in the power of the word. Thank you very much.
Journalist, who will have a nice chat with you. Please take a seat. And give him a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to interview you. We have about 15 minutes, and ahead of this occasion you told me that it would not be rude if I interrupt you, because if I don't, you keep going on. Those are her own words, so if I do, I have permission. Right, exactly. Congratulations on the award. I don't think you need the encouragement, because even without this award, you're continuing to fight, but I hope it helps. You talked a little bit already about the situation in Nicaragua and how April 18 changed everything on a scale from a full democracy and a full dictatorship. What path has Nicaragua gone through over the past year?
Well, we weren't in a full democracy. Actually, what happened was that Ortega took power in 2007. Before that, he lost power when we were together with the Sandinistas in 1990. And since then, he began clamping on the party in the first place. We wanted more democracy. We wanted him. We did not want him to continue in charge because he had lost the election. We wanted new people, new blood, and he expelled most of us who were critical of his politics. And then he began to try to get back on power. And to do that, he had to do a lot of concessions. He lost all scruples, really, and went to all, I would mention one thing is for example, he promised the Catholic Church to ban therapeutic abortion for women. That had been a right for women in Nicaragua since the 19th century. And then he went on to have an alliance with this very corrupt politician, so that in exchange for positions and places in the National Assembly, he would allow the percentage to be elected president in a first round to go from 45 to 35%. And then he came to the presidency, and he began to control everything. He began to put loyal people in the Supreme Court, in the Electoral Council. He began to change the laws in the army so that he could, the person he put in could stay for longer than they were supposed to.
Just textbook dictatorship, basically.
Yes.
Putting your bonds.
Also, they had a lot of money from Venezuela, and he didn't pass it through the the national budget.
I guess that's why I began about the full democracy to dictatorship scale. We spoke before about Venezuela, where the humanitarian situation is still a lot worse. But is your country going towards that situation?
Well, I hope not.
I understand.
But they are following it's like the same script.
Right.
They get to a point where all even the elections in Venezuela, they have an electoral system that is they can do a lot of tricks, but in Nicaragua, our electoral system was wiped out by Ortega. Practically, we could not have free and fair elections anymore. In 2016, there was a lot of abstention. He got re-elected, even though the Constitution did not allow re-election. And the last time, not only did he get re-elected, but he elected his wife as vice president.
Right.
That has only happened in what is that? A very famous program in
House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Right.
That's the only poor place.
That show eventually ended, so maybe that's the good news. No, I wanted to bring her up because she's his wife and vice president, and obviously his most loyal supporter. situations like this, I guess the second most loyal supporter is always the military, because if you lose the support of the military, you're gone. Is that the case for Nicaragua as well, or does he still have, for one reason or the other, a particular power base, no matter how small, within the people?
Well, he has a small power base, but you know, basically what he did, the army supposedly has been on the sidelines, but really he has armed the police and paramilitary force.
The military right now is basically on the sidelines.
Supposedly, that's what they say, but you know, we have seen war weapons in the hands of the police and in the hands of these paramilitary people who went out and were the ones who were in charge of putting down the rebellion and killed indiscriminately. And they used a lot of sharpshooters, and they shot students mostly at the beginning, especially of the revolt, from here to here. I mean, there were some that were shot right in the forehead. You know, so that was what got people completely outraged, and it was an incredible expression of disgust at what the government was doing, and the whole country rose up, and so you saw a turn of some people were before happy about some of the things that Ortega was doing, you know, because they did some good things, good social programs, you know, with the money that Venezuela had given them.
Even though the protests in April last year started with protests against
the reform.
social programs.
Yeah, because,
right.
You know, what they did was they bought votes, really. They would give people like roofing materials, not really changing the productivity of the society or trying to make people be better, but it was more like a charitable kind of thing that would get them beholden to them, you know, to be more obedient. And now their base is the people who are working in the state, for example, state employees, people who depend a lot of the...
But that's still a particularly small
very small
group.
Very
Let's talk about the people that we are here to celebrate on cases like this. The independent voices, journalists, writers, etc. There have been many arrests. There have been many news outlets closed. I suppose the only ones that are still open are the states that are pro-Ortega side. What is left of independent journalism in Venezuela, and how do you still operate?
Well, I operate because I believe that I have a little bit of protection because of, you know, people like me in Nicaragua.
Because of your thing.
And no, because I have been outspoken, so I don't know, but I don't know really. The truth is that I
Being
am
outspoken in a country like, in a regime like this, how is that helpful? How does that protect you? Because it sounds dangerous.
Well, because I think they are afraid that if they do something to me or to people like me and other, you know, Nicaragua is a very interesting thing because we have a hero, it's a poet, Rubén Darío. That's our hero. And so the Nicaraguan people love poetry with a passion. And so, like poets are revered in Nicaragua. You know, I used to go out in the city before now, and if the police would stop me and they would see my license and...
You would not get a ticket?
No, I would not get a ticket.
That's fantastic. I wish they had that here.
There was a policeman that used to stop me and say, it's an honor for me to stop.
So there's some good news within the...
No, but you know, I don't know.
No.
The truth is I feel...
But you felt good to move back, because you were in the US for a while, and you moved back to Managua.
Yes, in 2013.
Right.
I was longing for Nicaragua all the time, and I went to Nicaragua very often. But really...
So you feel safe?
No.
Safe
No,
enough to stay?
I don't feel safe. I don't know.
Safe enough not to leave?
What I feel is that whatever protection I think I have, I have to use it. I have to speak. I have to be the voice. And as long as I can, I will keep doing it. Because somebody has to do it,
Right.
you know?
A particular outlet, one of the biggest ones, Confidential, which was a weekly, I believe. Well, it's online, so I guess it's daily. They closed it last month, but I read a couple of articles you wrote for Confidential, which means that in some way they are still around.
They're operating in a clandestine way
From where?
from different places, you know.
I expected that.
Yes. and it's, you know, we all know what's going to happen because they totally took everything away from we need a campaign to raise funds to be able to give them more equipment, you know, somebody can help us here. But you know,
you can get something published if you want online. I mean, it's obviously
online,
a dire
yes.
situation, but you have a way to reach an audience still.
Yes. I mean, and also social media.
Right.
Also what I do is a lot of tweeting, a lot of Facebook, you know, so that way we get, it's interesting because in Nicaragua people do have cell phones. And that has been an incredible way to get through to people and to create,
Particularly
maintain
the
this
younger
community.
generation or everyone?
Yes, the younger generation especially, yes.
Another thing happened, I think only a few weeks ago, is that one of a very prominent Supreme Court judge, who was always an ally of Mr. Ortega for years, and he turned against him. Is that an important event, and can it mark change?
Yes, it is. I mean, I think something is going to give, you know, because Ortega has been doing so many things that are so intolerable for people. Like, for example, we are now forbidden to go out on the street. If you know, I went
At night or in general?
No, we cannot protest.
Right.
We cannot protest. I mean, we don't go out at night, really, because the paramilitaries go out. We are really in a state of siege, you know, in a what is it called? Not state of siege, but
State of emergency?
yeah. Well, it's a very dangerous kind of situation where you don't know when they can take you to jail, and so I forgot what you were asking.
What about Mr. Solis, the Supreme Court judge?
Well, you know,
he turned against Ortega and basically predicted that a civil war. Is that an important moment?
I don't think there will be a civil war because people have been very disciplined in not going out and doing anything armed. You know, people have been rebelling peacefully, and that is a very important change in Nicaragua's history. And so it's also painful, it's more difficult, because you're really just getting attacked, you know. But at the same time, I think that stance is what got somebody like Solis, you know, had to react. Because when you see people being taken to jail, when you have seen people being killed, when you see all this injustice, then so people react, you know, there is something in people that tends to react, and we are hoping, and I am hoping, and Solis was despicable, you know, he facilitated a lot of things that Ortega did to get control of the whole country.
Like getting rid of term limits.
Yes,
that was one
term
of the things.
limits, and he was...
So was it a very selfish, without getting too much into the weeds of this case, but was it, why did he turn against Ortega for very particular reasons, possibly?
Well, because he also had a Sandinista past.
Right.
He also was in the resistance inside Nicaragua. He was, you know, he had a little bit of soul left.
And what else do you get? I mean, how many souls are broken, obviously. Where do you get your hope? Is that for other prominent figures like Solis to turn against him, or is it the younger generation who you say you reach by social media? I mean, where do you get your hope from? Because this has been going on for a while and things are not getting better.
I get my hope from the same thing that began all of this. Before the 18th of April, Nicaragua seemed to go, I thought I'm going probably to die and there as one of the children, because we were so trapped by the situation. And all of a sudden, the whole situation changed, you know, and people are so strong in Nicaragua, and I think something is going to give, because Ortega is getting a lot of sanctions. The OAS wants to apply the Democratic Charter,
The Organization
of American States, which would prevent him from getting new loans. The economic situation in Nicaragua is going to get very difficult for Ortega, and I think that is going to bring with it also more protests. And you know, there comes a point where life is not as important anymore, really. And you know, we have seen that in history many times when people decide we'll do it, you know, we'll do it whatever the cost.
So basically, in a way, even though April 18 started a bloody period, it may also, in hindsight, in a while, may have been a turning point.
Well, the way I see it is Nicaragua has been a country that has fought against tyranny. Fighting against tyranny cost us a lot of dead people. You know, like 50,000 people died in the fight against Somoza, then in the fight against the Contras. And I think that spirit of saying no more, we do not want another dictatorship. We are not going to wait 45 years to get rid of this guy who has become a dictator. And so people are determined to change that situation. And it's going to go, you know, it's going to move slowly, I think, but I don't think we are not too slow.
I think that's a good, sorry, I think
Well,
that's a good way.
I am an optimist.
You sound like one, and I think that's needed. Thank you so much, and I invite you to go read a poem. You can do that over there. And before that, I want to have everybody give you one more round of applause.
This is a poem I wrote recently. It's called Poesía en tiempos de crueldad. En la noche, una mujer se levanta de puntillas, camina en la oscuridad hacia el balcón volcado sobre el cielo. En la noche duerme el barrio a su lado. Los sueños de los vecinos flotan sobre los tejados. Las figuras de esperpentos y duendes se mezclan con los gatos y las aves nocturnas. El pecho de la mujer es una fragua que arde con la leña del día. Está llena de humo y el humo le saca las lágrimas. La mujer grita, abre la boca y sale de ella la tormenta. La mujer grita, ¿qué puede hacer la poesía? ¿Qué puede hacer la poesía? ¿Qué hacer con el hervidero de palabras que la habita? Las palabras suaves, las palabras duras, las palabras esas que se han venido haciendo, urdiendo, cavando, revoloteando, revolviendo, revolucionando. ¿Qué puede hacer la poesía con la revolución? ¿Cuántas palabras amontonar para el asco? ¿Cuántas para el dolor? En la noche, en la cama, ella escucha las voces de la mujer, del hombre, lamentándose. Llora sin llorar. Llega un momento en la vida en que se llora por dentro, para adentro. Después busca al marido entre las sábanas y hace el amor. Pero el amor se queda entre sus piernas, pegado a su piel, igual que la poesía, se queda dormida sobre el papel. ¿Qué puede hacer la poesía para convertirse en libertad, en cielo abierto? La poesía dormida sobre el papel es igual que las palabras que se escriben para que nadie las comprenda. Es menester el ojo para que la poesía se levante y ande. Es necesario el tiempo, el amor y el horror para que la poesía se encienda como una lámpara y salga con sus fósforos y luciérnagas a iluminar la noche. Con el ojo y la luz, nada es imposible para la poesía. En medio de la ciudad quebrada, los heridos por la muerte y por la vida cantan. La mujer los oye el ritmo antiguo de las voces. Ve a las mujeres moverse, recostadas las unas sobre las otras, meciéndose al ritmo de las palabras entonadas por todos. La poesía es ese mundo terco y silencioso, es el fervor dicho en voz baja, es el alma que habla y no se da por vencida. Gracias.
Thank you, Radna Fabias, Raj Mohan, Roberto Saviani, Dani Tatur, Alderman Robert van Asten, Michiel Servaas, Jennifer Clement, Elko Bosman, Rosita from the Marktplaats. Of course, this is the official opening of Writers Unlimited, so we will be drinking, laughing, maybe dancing, we will be merry, not only because it is the official opening of Writers Unlimited, but also and especially because it upsets the oppressors, and we should always annoy the tyrants. So go have fun and get drunk and everything. Thank you very much.